There was a real case of a man who decided to prepare dinner during a prolonged blackout. He placed a small charcoal grill directly on his kitchen counter and closed all the windows so the smoke wouldn't alert the neighbors in the hallway. 40 minutes later, his family found him unconscious on the floor. Carbon monoxide, a gas that has no color, no smell, and gives no warning, nearly ended his life. The most terrifying part is that he was convinced he had everything under control. Stories like this repeat themselves by the hundreds every time a city goes dark. People don't usually starve in the first 72 hours of a crisis, but they do die by making fatal mistakes while trying to heat up a simple can of food. Cooking in an environment without basic utilities is not just a matter of cuisine. It's a matter of survival engineering and extreme safety. Today we're going to break down how you can turn your kitchen into a safe food preparation hub when there's no gas or electricity, which methods actually work, and which deadly traps seem logical, but could kill you in under an hour. The first concept we need to master is heat management. In a normal situation, your electric or gas stove is designed to release heat in a controlled and safe way. When you improvise, you lose that control. So before lighting any flame, you need to understand the number one danger: ventilation. Any combustion method, from a candle to a camp stove, consumes the oxygen in the room and releases gases. If you're in an apartment, sealed up to keep heat in, or for security, you're creating a gas chamber. The golden rule is that if there's fire indoors, there must be airflow, even if that means losing a bit of ambient temperature. Let's talk about the safest and most efficient methods. The first, and my favorite for its simplicity, is the thermos method. Imagine you have grains, rice, or pasta. You don't need to keep the flame going for 20 minutes to cook them. You only need to heat water once. Put the rice or pasta inside a good quality thermos. Pour in the boiling water, close the lid, and wait. The thermos will retain the heat long enough for the food to hydrate and cook on its own. This method saves a huge amount of fuel and doesn't produce constant smoke or smells that could attract unwanted attention. If you need a direct heat source, the best investment you can make today is a butane camping stove. They are small, stable, and the fuel is stored safely in cartridges that last for years. However, even with these stoves, you need to cook near a cracked open window. A gas cartridge typically lasts between 90 and 120 minutes of continuous use, which is enough for several meals if you apply quick cooking techniques like chopping food into very small pieces so they cook faster. Another excellent resource is the alcohol stove. You can make one in 10 minutes with 2 empty soda cans, or buy a professional brass one. Denatured alcohol, or even 96-proof ethyl alcohol from the pharmacy, burns very cleanly. They don't produce the black soot that candles or wood leave behind, and their flame is almost invisible. This is an advantage for discretion, but also a danger, since you could burn yourself without seeing the flame. Always place the alcohol stove on a metal tray or a non-flammable surface to prevent accidental fires if liquid spills. Solid fuel, like hexamine tablets or gel alcohol, is the safest option for those without experience handling flammable liquids. These tablets light with a match, won't explode, and are extinguished simply by covering them. They are ideal for heating a cup of water or a can of food directly. The downside is that their heat output is lower, so they aren't suitable for cooking large quantities. But for a single person in an apartment, they are the gold standard for safety. Now let's talk about what you must never, under any circumstances, do. Never use charcoal or briquettes inside a home, not even in the fireplace, unless you're sure the flue is working perfectly. Charcoal produces a massive amount of carbon monoxide. Also, do not try to use gasoline or kerosene in stoves not specifically designed for those fuels. Gasoline's volatility in an enclosed space is a recipe for an explosion. And of course, forget the idea of building a wood campfire on your kitchen floor or balcony. The smoke will damage your lungs, alert the entire neighborhood, and the heat from the floor could crack the concrete structure. A slow cooking method very few people know about is the retained heat box, or hay box. It's the primitive version of the thermos. It consists of a box insulated with blankets, old clothes, or even crumpled newspaper. You bring your pot of food to a boil, on your small camp stove for just 3 minutes. Then, you remove the covered pot and quickly place it in the center of the insulated box, covering it completely. The food will continue cooking with its own residual heat over the next 3 or 4 hours. It's ideal for stews or legumes that would normally require a lot of gas. Plus, it keeps food hot for half a day, without using a single gram more of fuel. Hygiene is the second battleground. Without running hot water, washing dishes becomes a problem. A stomach infection in the middle of a blackout is a medical emergency you don't want. My recommendation is to use disposable paper plates, if you have them stocked, or cover your regular plates with plastic wrap. After eating, you remove the plastic, and the plate stays clean. If you have to wash, use a mixture of cold water with a little vinegar, or a few drops of bleach. The vinegar helps cut grease, and the bleach disinfects. As for food preservation, remember the refrigerator hierarchy. When the power goes out, you have a window of about 4 hours where food remains safe. If the fridge is full and you don't open it, it can last up to 48 hours. Consume what's in the fridge first, then what's in the freezer, and save canned goods and dry grains for last. If it's winter, you might think about putting food out on the balcony, but be careful of animals and direct sunlight, which can heat food more than you think. In summer, any perishable food that spends more than 2 hours out of refrigeration should be discarded. Don't take the risk. Fire safety must be your obsession. During a blackout, fire services will be overwhelmed or blocked by traffic. A small fire in your kitchen could mean the total loss of your home. Always have a lid on hand that fits perfectly with the pot you're using. If oil catches fire, do not use water. Just place the lid on top to smother the flames. A properly maintained fire extinguisher and a bucket of sand or a fire blanket should be within 2 steps of where you're cooking. Preparing to cook without utilities isn't just about buying a stove. It's about shifting your mindset. You need to learn to appreciate cold meals and only use heat when strictly necessary for food safety or thermal comfort. Most canned foods are already cooked and can be safely eaten cold. Heating them is a luxury that consumes fuel and creates risks. Learn to distinguish between what is necessary and what is desirable. Finally, let's talk about discretion. In a prolonged crisis, the smell of hot food can attract hungry people to your door. If you're using a camp stove or alcohol stove, try to cook foods that don't have strong odors. Rice, pasta, and dehydrated soups are ideal because their smell doesn't travel as far as fried meat or spiced stews. Cook during the hours when street noise is loudest to mask the sound of pots, or in total darkness at night if you have a good system for blacking out your windows. The ability to feed your family safely and with hot food will give you a huge moral and physical advantage. A warm body handles stress and fear better, but that advantage is lost if you end up poisoned by gases or cause a fire in your shelter. Patience is your best ingredient. Use heat retention methods. Always ventilate, and never leave a flame unattended, not even for a minute, to go to the bathroom. Having the supplies and knowledge to cook without gas or electricity takes a huge weight off your shoulders. It allows you to focus on other aspects of survival while maintaining the health and morale of your loved ones. Don't wait for the switch to fail to test these methods. Buy that alcohol or butane stove today and practice one Sunday by cooking a full meal with it. Learn how long it takes to boil water and how to handle the fuel. Knowledge is the only thing that doesn't weigh down your emergency bag, but can still save your life. If you found this guide useful for keeping your kitchen operational and safe in the dark, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for more realistic urban survival tips. Give this video a like so this information reaches more families, and tell us in the comments, what cooking method have you prepared for a prolonged blackout? I'll be reading your ideas and recommendations. See you in the next video. Stay fed and stay ready.